Hey, 14.4. Sarvayonishu kaunteya murtaya sambhavanti aha tasam brahma mahadyoniraham bija pratapita. Should be understood that all species of life of son of Kunti are made possible by birth in this material nature. And that I am the seed-giving father. But in this verse it is clearly explained that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the original father of all living entities. The living entities are combinations of material nature and spiritual nature, meaning body is material and the Atma is spiritual. Such living entities are seen not only on this planet, but on every planet, even on the highest where Brahma is situated. Everywhere there are living entities. So living entity means body with Atma plus body. So they are there within the earth, even within water, within fire. All these appearances are due to the mother material nature and Krishna's seed-giving process. Okay, process meaning, see, mother nature, material nature is who? Durga Devi. Durga Devi's husband is Lord Shiva. So Krishna doesn't directly give the seed. Krishna gives the seed as Shiva. But since Shiva is also Gunavatar of Krishna, so it is said Krishna only does the job, but actually it is done by Shiva. Shiva and Parvati are husband and wife. So they have to take care of all this stuff. The purport is that material world is impregnated with living entities. Impregnated, just like ladies impregnated by the husband, who come out in various forms at the time of creation according to their past deeds. Okay, so this is plain and simple. Sattvam rajastama iti guna prakriti sambhavaha nibatnanti mahabaho dehe dehinam apriyam. Now there is discussion about what this material nature is, because living entities have material nature and spiritual nature. And what is this material nature? Consists of three modes: sattva, rajas, tamas, goodness, passion, ignorance. And the eternal living entity comes in contact with nature. Mighty Arjuna, he becomes conditioned by these modes. So this is the whole problem. We are conditioned. Condition means under the control. We are controlled by these modes. The living entity, because it's transcendental, has nothing to do with its material nature. Still, because he has become conditioned, he is acting under the spell of three modes. So as soon as we come in touch with material nature, we come under the control of these modes. Because living entities have different kinds of bodies in terms of different aspects of nature. They are induced to act according to that nature. This is the cause of varieties of happiness and distress. So what is the cause of various types of happiness and distress? And the way different jivas are controlled by different modes. Somebody in goodness will have sattvic happiness. Somebody in tamas will have very bad distress, etc., etc. So all this happiness, distress depends on the modes that we have acquired. So we engage in those kind of activities, and then subsequently we have to suffer. Tatra sattvam nirmalatvat prakashakam anamayam sukha sangena batnati gnana sangena chanaga. Mode of goodness, being purer than the others, is illuminating. It frees one from all sinful reactions. Those situated in that mode conditioned by a sense of happiness and knowledge. So because those who are situated in this mode, it is illuminating. So it is gnana. So one who has this knowledge, then they will also free themselves from getting involved in bad, sinful actions. And that they are not engaging in any sinful action, and that they have knowledge gives them a sense of happiness. And they're conditioned by that, which means that they can't come out of it. They like to be in that state. But living entities conditioned by material nature are of various types. One is happy, another is one is happy. So sattva guna, sattvic person is happy. Another is very active. Rajasic person is very active. And another is helpless. Tamasic person is helpless. All these types of psychological manifestations are causes of the entity's conditioned status in nature. How they are differently conditioned is explained in this section of Bhagavad Gita. Mode of goodness is first considered. Effect of developing mode of goodness is that one becomes wiser than those otherwise conditioned. Man in mode of goodness is not so much affected by material misery. So which means that even if there are material miseries, he is not affected so much by it as much as a person in mode of passion or ignorance. And he has a sense of advancement in material knowledge. The representative type is the Brahmana, who is supposed to be situated in the mode of goodness. This sense of happiness is due to understanding that in the mode of goodness, one is more or less free from sinful reactions. Actually, in the Vedic literature, it is said that mode of goodness means greater knowledge and greater sense of happiness. The difficulty here is that when a living entity is situated in mode of goodness, he becomes conditioned to feel that he is advanced in knowledge and is better than others. In this way, he becomes conditioned by that thought process, saying that I am advanced, I am better than others. He becomes conditioned. He starts to think that way. Best examples are the scientist and the philosopher. Each is very proud of his knowledge, and because they generally improve their living conditions, they feel a sort of material happiness. This sense of advanced happiness in conditioned life makes them bound by the mode of goodness of material nature. As such, they are attracted toward working in mode of goodness, and as long as they have an attraction for working in that way, they have to take some type of body in the modes of nature. Thus, there is no likelihood of liberation or being transferred to the spiritual world. So they're conditioned. So they will have attraction to work in a particular way. So they will take another material body and they'll keep continuing. So it is conditioning. It is not doesn't free, and though it is the best of the three modes. So repeatedly one may become a philosopher, scientist, poet, and repeatedly become entangled in the same disadvantages of birth and death. But due to the illusion of the material energy, one thinks that sort of life is pleasant. And said, this life is nice. I don't want to come out of it. So their condition. Raja ragatmakam vidhi trishna sangas samudbhavan tan nibadnati kaunteya karma sangena dehinam. Mode of passion, born of unlimited desires and longings, unlimited. And because of this, the embodied living entity is bound to material fruitive action. So because there are desires, he has to act. He has to do stuff, earn money, spend, etc., etc. So he's always in action, active mode. So this is very important. Mode of passion is characterized by attraction between man and woman. Woman has attraction for man, man has attraction for woman. This is called mode of passion. When it is increased, one develops hankering after for material enjoyment. He wants to enjoy sense gratification. Then he wants some honor in city. He wants to have a happy family with nice children, wife, etc. These are products of mode of passion. As long as one is hankering after these things, he has to work very hard. Therefore, it is clearly stated that he associated with the fruits of his and thus becomes bound by such activities. In order to please his wife, children, society, keep his prestige, one has to work. Therefore, the whole material world is more or less in the mode of passion. Modern civilization is considered to be advanced in the standard of mode of passion. Formerly, advanced condition was considered to be in the mode of goodness. So previously, if somebody was in the mode of goodness, they would be respected, honored, considered advanced. In today's world, if somebody is in mode of passion, they're considered advanced. If somebody has a position, they have money, absolutely opposite to what it was before. If there's no liberation for those in mode of goodness, what to speak of those who are entangled in mode of passion? So there's no question. Because they're super busy. You ask them, come for Bhagavad Gita. No, I'm busy. What time are you free? I don't have any free time at all. What will happen in next life? I'll become a dog. But this is going on. Tamastva agnanatam jam vidhi mohanam sarvadehinam pramadalasya nidrabhis tannibadnati bharata. Darkness, mode of darkness, born of ignorance, is delusion of all embodied living entities. Results of this mode are madness, indolence, sleep, which bind the conditioned soul. Madness, indolence, sleep, delusion, moha. This verse, the specific application of the word tu is very significant. This means that the mode of ignorance is a very peculiar qualification of the embodied soul. The mode of ignorance is just the opposite of the mode of goodness. In mode of goodness, by development of knowledge, one can understand what is what. The mode of ignorance is just the opposite. Everyone under the spell of mode of ignorance becomes mad. The madman cannot understand what is what. Instead of making advancement, one becomes degraded. Definition: Vastuya yathatmya gnana varakam viprayaya gnana janakam tamaha. Under the spell of ignorance, one cannot understand a thing as it is. For example, everyone can see his grandfather has died and therefore he will also die. Man is mortal. The children that he conceives will also die. So death is sure. Still, people are madly accumulating money and working very hard day and night, not caring for the eternal spirit. This is madness. In their madness, they are very reluctant to make advancement in spiritual understanding. Such people are very lazy because they are reluctant. When they are invited to associate with spiritual understanding, they are not much interested. They are not even active like the man who is controlled by the mode of passion. And so they are lazy. That's another symptom of this man is that he sleeps more than is required. 6 hours of sleep is sufficient, but a man in mode of ignorance sleeps at least 10 or 12 hours. Such a man appears to be always dejected and is addicted to intoxicants and sleeping. These are the symptoms of person conditioned by mode of ignorance. So moha, basically they are in illusion. No action, nothing, sleep, indolence, madness. Sattvam sukhe sanjayati rajakarmani bharata gnanam avratyatu tamaha pramade sanjayatyuta. Mode of goodness conditions 1 to happiness, passion conditions 1 to fruitive action, ignorance conditions 1 to covering one's knowledge binds 1 to madness. So this we already discussed. Person in mode of goodness satisfied by work or intellectual pursuit, just as philosopher, scientists engaged in a particular field of knowledge and may be satisfied in that way. And in mode of passion engaged in fruitive activity, he owns as much as he can and spends for good causes. Good causes. Sometimes he tries to open hospitals, give to charity institutions, etc. These are signs of one in the mode of passion. The mode of ignorance covers knowledge. Whatever one does is good neither for him nor for anyone. So Prabhupada here is saying those in the mode of passion, they do charity business. Mode of goodness is, no, he is not involved in charity also. He is just intellectual pursuit. Rajastamascha vibhuya sattvam bhavati bharata rajas sattvam tamaschaiva tamas sattvam rajastata. Sometimes mode of goodness becomes prominent, defeating modes of passion, ignorance. Sometimes passion becomes prominent, sometimes ignorance becomes prominent. In this way, there is always competition for supremacy. When the mode of passion is prominent, mode of goodness and ignorance are defeated, and so on and so forth. This competition is always going on. Therefore, one is actually intent on advancing, has to try in Krishna consciousness, has to transcend these 3 modes. Nishtray Gunya Bhavarjuna. Prominence of some certain mode of nature is manifested in one's dealings and his activities, eating, etc. So this we will read actually. 17th, 18th chapter is all full of how different modes work. All this will be explained in the later chapters. But if one wants, he can develop by practice mode of goodness. This is very important. By practice, we can practice to develop a particular mode. It's not that, yes, while we are conditioned, Prabhupada is making it very clear that by practice we can develop it. Practice also means by right association. One can similarly develop mode of passion and defeat goodness and ignorance, or mode of ignorance and defeat goodness, passion. Although there are these 3 modes, if one is determined, he can be blessed by the mode of goodness. And by transcending the mode of goodness, he can be situated in pure goodness. So important thing is that one has to be determined to overcome the modes. Pure goodness is called Vasudeva Sattva, a state in which one can understand science of God. By the manifestation of particular activities, it can be understood in what mode, nature one is situated. So as devotees, we should not think that, oh, I'm so conditioned, I'm stuck, these are my anarthas, but I'm conditioned, so I can't do anything about it. No, this is a defeatist mentality. Actually, Prabhupada is very clear here, by practice, by determination, one can get mercy. And then we can transcend the modes. So we have to put sincere effort and depend on Guru and Krishna. सर्वद्वारेषु देहेऽस्मिन् प्रकाश उपजायते ज्ञानं यदा तदा विद्यात् विवृद्धं सत्त्वमित्युत. Manifestation of mode of goodness can be experienced when all gates of the body are illuminated by knowledge. The 9 gates, 2 eyes, 2 ears, nostrils, mouth, genitals, and anus. When every gate is illuminated by symptoms of goodness, it should be understood that one has developed mode of goodness. So what does this mean? Every gate of body acts in knowledge and doesn't act in ignorance, doesn't act in mode of passion. For example, eyes, whatever they see, they act in mode of goodness because they have knowledge, as in they are controlled by that knowledge. Mode of goodness, one can see things in the right position, hear things in the right position, and so on. One becomes cleansed inside and outside. In every gate, there is development of symptom of happiness. So eyes are happy, ears are happy, nostrils are happy. And passion, none of these gates are happy. Everything is hankering. I want this, I want this, I want this. Goodness, they are happy. Whatever it is, okay, satisfied. This is what I have. I am happy with this. Lobha pravrittirarambha karmanam ashama spruha rajasyethani jayante vivritte bharatarshava. When there is increase in mode of passion, symptoms of great attachment, fruitive activity, intense endeavor, uncontrollable desire, and hankering. So typical of Kali Yuga person, great attachment. I want this, I want this, I want this at any cost. Then what happens? Okay, I want. So activity. Then normal activity is not enough. Intense endeavor. Then don't get it. Then again keep trying. Uncontrollable desire and hankering. Never satisfied. This is the key thing. He is never satisfied. He hankers to increase his position. If he wants to construct a residential house, he tries to best build a palatial house. Even though he would, as if he would be able to reside in that house eternally, and develop a great hankering for sense gratification. There's no end to sense gratification. He wants to remain with family in the house and continue the process of sense gratification. There's no cessation of this. All symptoms should be understood as, these symptoms should be understood as in the mode of passion. Aprakasho pravrittischa pramado moha eva cha tas tamasi etan jayante vivritte kuru nandana. When there is increase in mode of ignorance, darkness, inertia, madness, illusion are manifested. That's all. No illumination, no knowledge. One in mode of ignorance does not work by a regulative principle. He wants to act whimsically for no purpose. Even though he has capacity to work, he makes no endeavor. So this is important. And of course in Kali Yuga, everybody is mixture of all gunas. So we would also have seen this in us, in ourselves. Sometimes we have capacity to work, but we don't want to do any endeavor. Mode of passion, mode of illusion. This is called illusion. Although in consciousness going on, life is inactive. Nothing, I don't want to do anything. These are symptoms of one in mode of ignorance. Say, 5 days I've done so much. Saturday, Sunday, I want to do nothing. Mode of ignorance. Yada sattve pravruddhe tu pralayam yati dehabrit tadot tamavidam lokan namalan patipadyate. And one dies in the mode of goodness, he attains pure higher planets of the great sages. One in goodness attains higher planetary systems like Brahmaloka, Janaloka. So one in goodness, he goes to Brahmaloka, Janaloka, or Janaloka, enjoys godly happiness because he goes to the loka of great sages. Amalan means that free from modes of passion and ignorance. So he becomes free from passion and ignorance. He goes to higher planets where great sages reside. There are impurities in the material world, but the mode of goodness is the purest in the material world. There are different kinds of planets for different kinds of living entities. Those who die in the mode of goodness are elevated to planets where great sages and great devotees live. Rajasi pralayam gatva karma sangishu jayate tatha pralinas tasmai mudha yonishu jayate. When one dies in mode of passion, he takes birth among those engaged in fruitive activities, karma bhumi. And one dies in mode of ignorance, he takes birth in the animal kingdom. Some people have the impression that when the soul reaches the platform of human life, it never goes down. This is incorrect. According to this verse, if one develops mode of ignorance, then is degraded to animal form. One has to again elevate himself by an evolutionary process to come again to the human form of life. So there's no shortcut. It is an evolutionary process then. Therefore, those who are actually serious about human life should take to the mode of goodness and in good association, transcend the modes and become situated in Krishna consciousness. This is the aim of human life. Otherwise, there's no guarantee that the human being will again attain to the human status. So neha vikramana shasti patyamayono vidyate swalpamapyasya dharmasya trayate mahatopayat. So swalpamapyasya dharmasya, little bhakti trayate mahatopayat. Losing the human status, it will take care. It will ensure that bhakti will ensure that at least we will get a human body, if not anything. Karmana sukrutasyahuhu satvikam nirmalam phalam rajasastu phalam dukkham agnanam tamasappalam. Result of pious action is pure, said to be in the mode of goodness. Action in mode of passion results in misery. Action performed in mode of ignorance results in foolishness. Result of pious activities is pure. Therefore, the sages who are free from illusion are situated in happiness. But activities in mode of passion are miserable. One wants to have a skyscraper, so much misery has to be undergone. Financier has to take much trouble to earn a mass of wealth. Those who are saving to construct the building have to render physical toil. Miseries are there. Thus, Bhagavad Gita says that in any activity performed under the spell of mode of passion, there is a definitely great misery. There may be little so-called mental happiness. I have this house or this money, but this is not actual happiness. As far as mode of ignorance is concerned, performer is without knowledge. Therefore, all his activities result in present misery, and afterwards he will go on toward animal life. So in passion, there will be misery, but next life will not be animal life. But in ignorance, there is misery plus bonus, animal life. Animal life is always miserable, although under the spell of illusory energy, Maya, animals do not understand this. Slaughtering poor animals is also due to mode of ignorance. Animal killers do not know that in the future, animal will have a body suitable to kill them. That is the law of nature. In human society, if one kills a man, he has to be hanged. That is the law of the state. Because of ignorance, people do not perceive that there is a complete state controlled by the Supreme Lord. Every living creature is a son of the Supreme Lord, and he does not tolerate even ants being killed. One has to pay for it. So indulgence in animal killing for the taste of tongue is the grossest kind of ignorance. A human being has no need to kill animals because God has applied so many nice things. If one indulges in meat eating anyway, it is to be understood that he is acting in ignorance and is making his future very dark. All kinds of animal killing of cows is most vicious because the cow gives us all kinds of pleasure by supplying milk. Cow slaughter is an act of grossest type of ignorance. In the Vedic literature, the words Gopiprinita Matsaram indicate that one who, being fully satisfied by milk, his desire of killing the cow is in greatest ignorance, grossest ignorance. There's also prayer which we chant Namo Brahmanya Devaya, Gobrahmanitaya Cha Jagatitaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namaha. My Lord, you are the well-wisher of the cows and the Brahmanas, and you are the well-wisher of the entire human society and world. The purport is that special mention is given in the prayer for the protection of cows and Brahmanas. Brahmanas are the symbol of spiritual education, and cows are the symbol of the most valuable food. These two living creatures, Brahmanas and cows, must be given all protection. That is the real advancement of civilization. In modern human society, spiritual knowledge is neglected and cow killing is encouraged. It is to be understood then that human society is advancing in the wrong direction and is clearing the path to its own condemnation. A civilization which guides the citizens to become animals in their next lives is certainly not a human civilization. The present human civilization is, of course, grossly misled by modes of passion and ignorance. It's a very dangerous age, and all nations should take care to provide the easiest process, Krishna consciousness, to save humanity from the greatest danger. Pretty much self-explanatory, I think. Much to explain. Sattva sanjayate gnanam rajaso lopa eva cha pramada moho tamaso bhavato gnanam eva cha. Mode of goodness, from mode of goodness, real knowledge develops. Mode of passion, greed develops. Mode of ignorance, foolishness, madness, illusion. Then the present civilization is not very congenial to the living entities. Krishna consciousness recommended. Through Krishna consciousness, society will develop the mode of goodness. When the mode of goodness is developed, people will see things as they are. In mode of ignorance, people are just like animals and cannot see things clearly. For example, they do not see that by killing one animal, they're taking chance of being killed by the same animal in the next life. Because people have no education in actual knowledge, they become irresponsible. To stop this irresponsibility, education for developing mode of goodness of the people in general must be there. When they're actually educated in mode of goodness, they will become sober in full knowledge of things as they are. Then people will be happy and prosperous. Even if the majority of people aren't happy and prosperous, if a certain percentage of the population develops Krishna consciousness and becomes situated in the mode of goodness, then there's the possibility for peace and prosperity all over the world. Otherwise, if the world is devoted to the modes of passion and ignorance, there can be no peace or prosperity. In the mode of passion, people become greedy, and their hankering for sense enjoyment has no limit. One can see that if one has enough money and adequate arrangements for sense gratification, there is neither happiness nor peace of mind. That is not possible because one is situated in the mode of passion. If one wants happiness at all, his money will not help him. He has to elevate himself to the mode of goodness by practicing Krishna consciousness. When one is engaged in the mode of passion, not only is he mentally unhappy, but his profession and occupation are also very troublesome. He has to devise so many plans and schemes to acquire enough money to maintain his status quo. This is all miserable. The mode of ignorance, people become mad, being distressed by their circumstances. They take shelter of intoxication and they sink further into ignorance. Their future in life is very dark. So pretty much we can understand. So one of the things actually that we have to do is when we are reading all this, typically, when I read these verses for the first time, I was thinking, okay, which mode I am, how much. So first is understanding where we stand. In some cases, we might have some mode of passion, some cases goodness, very little goodness, I guess, mostly for people in Kali Yuga. And then we also have a lot of ignorance. So we have to, when we read these purports, we should understand what type of behavior is considered what. And then we should try to, if suppose we are predominantly mode of passion, we should try to adopt behavior of person in mode of goodness. Of course, if we engage in bhakti seriously, then these qualities will develop. But yeah, like we know, we are not completely engaged in activities of bhakti. We have to engage with the outside world, etc. So, this might be something that we can try is to practice mode of goodness. So we should make a note of what all behavior entails mode of goodness, and then try to behave in that way whenever there are situations, etc. Otherwise, some of these will become impractical for us. So, okay, I'm in passion, but now what do I do about it? I want to go to mode of goodness. If I don't try, then reading this becomes useless, or it'll just be like, okay, in the future you will acquire these qualities, so just look out for them. No, so we can also depend on Krishna and put a little effort. Okay, so I think I'll stop here. Yeah, I'll stop here. I guess these verses were all pretty straightforward, so I didn't spend too much time discussing. Unless anybody has any questions, I can try to answer. Right, and predominantly when we read these verses, we can see the world with the lens of these modes. So we will see that different people are in different modes. And suppose say we are in mode of goodness and we are encountering somebody in mode of passion. We know that, person will behave this way. So we might not be very happy with that mode, but we should understand that, that person is stuck in that mode. Right. And if he's not a devotee, he doesn't even know that he can get out of it or he should get out of it. So we should feel compassion. So especially this is this is very helpful for devotees who are dealing with non-devotees. Sometimes we will have non-devotees at home and we will keep getting frustrated all the time. Oh, why do I have to do this? Look at others and say, see, in their house it is so nice. In this is so nice. Why can't it be like that in our house? And that frustration. But we should understand that this is Krishna's desire, Krishna's will. For some reason, he knows he wants us to go through this. So then when we look at the other people, then we should see, okay, controlled by modes. Which mode? Okay, predominantly passion, predominantly ignorance, predominantly goodness, and then deal with them accordingly, understanding that they are actually not in their own control, that they're controlled by the modes. So we then will be able to respect and deal with them, understanding that they are helplessly stuck. Not that they are helplessly stuck, but they think or they are not even bothered to come out of their situation. So we should understand their situation and then we a little bit show compassion towards them. Otherwise, it will become very difficult to deal with material people, with outside people, non-devotees. So these modes are very, very powerful actually. I mean, this chapter and then 17th, 18th chapters, 16, 17, 18, very powerful for practical application. So there might not be very much to explain. These are all self-explanatory, but it requires a lot of introspection. We have to see where we stand. We have to understand now when we go into 17th chapter and all, it will say, okay, determination in mode. So then we should think, oh, what is my determination? Then we should make a note. Okay, this quality I'm in this mode, this quality I'm in this mode, this quality I'm in this mode. And then every time then we should also say, okay, if I'm in goodness, okay, then it's fine, at least for now. Then if I'm in passion, okay, now how do I go to goodness? So then make a note of what does behavior in that particular for that quality in the mode of goodness, what does it mean? How does that person behave? Then try to see if we can come to that stage like that. We should so it's a lot of introspection and hard work to recognize our own position, and the constant effort should be first to come to goodness and then transcend goodness also. What do you mean transcend goodness? Goodness, just like you say, all this knowledge and happy that we are doing good things, and no, we want to be situated in Krishna's service, which is transcendental. And if we constantly remain there, transcendental state or in state of goodness, then we will be safe. We should not come down to passion or ignorance. That is the whole key, right? And it's a lot of effort, a lot of sadhana to be able to do that. But that is the whole idea of these chapters on modes, because the whole material world is full of modes. So if you understand them, really we can figure out a way of coming out. So that's the significance of these chapters. Okay. I guess no questions. Okay. So we'll close for today. Continue next week, Krishna willing. Vanchakalpaturubhyascha kripa sindhubhyo cha patitanam bhavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Disconnecting. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.